Hey, what's up? Thanks for joining me. I wanted to talk about the updates to EA and Star Wars Battlefront II, the recent events a little bit. And the reason I want to talk about this is because I've seen gamers overreact and don't get me wrong, all right? I've seen a lot of responses to what has been happening and people not accepting the explanation or the reasoning behind what's been happening. And I can understand the anger that players have because I am with you. I am with everybody that's angry about what has happened. But I also, when I see the response from the developers and from the company, I'm like, all right, that's a reasonable response. It's reasonable. It's understandable. I get it, but there are so many players that they'll see that response and they're like, no, screw you. I don't care. Screw you. You guys are idiots. I hate you guys, and I understand that. I don't blame people for that, but it's kind of a silly reaction in my opinion. Just where I'm at now, I no longer, I don't know if it's a younger audience or maybe it's just me. I don't know, whatever, man. But I've changed my outlook on through life, just growing up and being through this like a bunch of times in the past, and all that kind of stuff. So I see things a little bit differently. I would prefer if microtransactions were not in any games, unless it was free to play. I can understand microtransactions being in free to play games. I can't stand it in a game that I pay full price for. Cannot stand it at all. But I just see people responding and they're like, no, I hate you guys. Well, you know what? You don't have to say that. You can say that, but you also have to act on it. You have, like, if I didn't buy Battlefront 2, I didn't pre-order it. I mean, I'm interested in the game, but I'm already, like, in my mind, I think that I'm like, no, I'm not gonna buy that. I'm just not. Same thing happened with Destiny 2, and it's not because I hate the games necessarily, right? I don't hate the games, but I don't like the way that they milk the money out of you. They nickel and dime you. I don't like that. I have no respect for that. So, and this happens with a lot. I bought Assassin's Creed Origins, I bought Shadow of War, and these games they have their microtransactions and stuff. But those are games also that when I saw them and when I was playing them too, like the microtransactions, as much as I don't like them in general, they don't bother my gameplay when I play those games. It annoys me to no end. Like I don't like them being in the game, but that doesn't interrupt my gameplay. It doesn't bother me, it doesn't ruin it or anything. So that's why there's a big response to Battlefront 2, and that's why the microtransactions were taken down. The CFO did respond to this, and so did the developers like DICE. My last video was about how they responded, and I like that. I have a lot of respect for their response as the developer. And it really sucks that, I've seen this for years where there's this pressure. Like, you got the developers who just want to make a game, and then you got the publishers who are like, you need to do this, and it's like, so man, self-publishing needs to start happening more often. It's not easy though. That's why it doesn't happen more often. But so there was so DICE addressed this, and they were like, look, we're sorry, we messed up, we're going to rebalance things and fix this and stuff. And one really big thing that's funny to me is how players reacted to, like, when the shop was taken down. Everybody talked about it. They were like, look, we got the microtransactions taken down. And the key thing that everybody, they kind of talked about, but they didn't really seem to realize that, or so, I don't know what it is, because people knew. It was very upfront. People knew that microtransactions were going to come back. They didn't say, even DICE in their post, they were not like, we're removing microtransactions for good. They were like, no, we're taking them down for now, and we're going to fix them. We're going to balance the game better. We're going to fix the microtransactions. That was it. They didn't tell people, we're never going to bring these back. It's the same thing for EA. And it's, it's understandable. At least they want to balance it better and make it feel better and make it not feel like such a pay-to-win piece of garbage, and that's what CFO apparently addressed, like, investors and stuff. And he was like, we removed it because players thought it felt like it was pay-to-win. Exactly, exactly. So everybody who's seen this, like, gamers-wise, I watched some videos and I see the responses that people have, the reactions that people have, and they throw this fit. They're like, well, you shouldn't bring him back at all. Like, that's not a realistic thought. Like, I agree. They shouldn't have been there in the first place. I agree. I don't want microtransactions in my full price games. I think it's ridiculous. But they're there. They're there. And they were very straightforward about it, very upfront. They said, we're taking it down for now. For now. And they will be back. But we're gonna make it not feel so pay to win. That's cool, man. That's cool. It's like I said, I can play Shadow of War and I can play Assassin's Creed Origins without really worrying or thinking too much about the microtransactions and stuff. I did make a video about Shadow of War's pay to win loot boxes, and it's just the way they presented it, not the actual game itself. It's just the way the loot boxes, the microtransactions are done. Like, you cannot get the best crates for in-game currency. You can't. It's impossible, which is ridiculous. That is what's ridiculous about that game. But if you don't need the boxes, though, you earn some crates in the game and Shadow of War. You can get a few of them by playing the game, and you get the high-end ones or whatever. They're not worth it. Like, I would not give them a penny for those crates, especially after opening a few of them and seeing what you get from them. Like, please. I don't even know how they have the nerve to charge for that crap. But that's also a good thing. That's also a good thing in a way, because that I don't have to buy that crap. It's a waste. It's not even worth paying for. And that's what's different in Battlefront 2 is when they had the microtransactions there, everybody was talking about how, like, you had these overpowered weapons and overpowered things that you would get from purchasing the crates and stuff. So it was either insanely grindy or you had to spend money. And that's how it usually goes when it comes to this system, these microtransactions. But that's how it is in a free-to-play game. And that's the biggest issue, I think. Because, in a free-to-play game, it makes more sense. I don't like it in free-to-play games. And those free-to-play games that do that, I don't play them. I play free-to-play games that have good free-to-play models. Ones that it's not super grindy, but it is grindy to get the cash shop items and stuff. But not like this insane, ridiculous grind that makes you feel like you have to spend money on it. I've played hundreds of free-to-play games, and so many of them, after a couple hours or a few hours, I'd be playing them, I'd be digging them, and I think after the first hour I would notice, like, wait a second, my inventory space is already so limited. By the time I play a half an hour to an hour, I gotta keep constantly just deleting stuff from my bags, my inventory and stuff, and so that's those. I've played a lot of games like that, like RPG games or, RPG-ish games, and that was always the number one issue when I played those. It was just that I didn't have enough inventory space. So right away, you already have to buy inventory space for those games if you want to really feel comfortable playing it. But again, it makes more sense in a free-to-play title. It does not make sense in a full-priced game. If they were even to put it at half price, I could be a little more accepting of it, right? If Battlefront 2 was $30 and then they had microtransactions, I wouldn't like it anyways. But I think it'd be more acceptable-ish, I guess, in this time of where we are in the games industry, man, where just everything is microtransactions, and it's just. I've been saying this for a long time. It's only been getting worse, and it's only going to get worse. Because and you'll see a lot of players will argue like it's only happening because people are paying for it. Well, yeah, because in the end you have to. Like, I've talked to many different people, and recently, and one of my friends who they have not upgraded their internet data plan to be unlimited because they don't want to give the company the satisfaction of charging them more, right? And that makes sense. I get that. But they're screwing themselves over. They're not screwing the company over. The company isn't going to be like, oh, this person won't pay for unlimited. We better shut this system down. We better not do it anymore because everybody else is paying for it, So it would take a huge change in everybody to stop this, and that's why in many videos in the past, when it comes to a lot of this kind of a thing, people are always saying, put your money where your mouth is, like, you really have to, and that goes for everybody. It's not just one person, 10 people, 100 people. It has to be big. And that's what's crazy about this Battlefront 2 thing in EA, who their company dropped in value by $3 billion. $3 billion. Can you even imagine that? Like, $3 billion. If you had $3 billion, like, can you imagine? I cannot imagine that. And this company, to them, it's probably like a penny. It's now that might be an exaggeration, but I can't help but feel that it's a big company, right? Like, you know, this is a company that's shutting down single player studios because they want to make multiplayer games that people can keep spending money on and stuff, you know. And I don't know, it's just crazy. It's freaking crazy. I don't know, but I did think it's a little bit weird on the response, and I get it, but the response from gamers is a little awkward to me because realistically, I can appreciate that they at least are looking at it and taking player feedback, and we'll see what happens. I mean, they might come back with microtransactions and then be just complete crap again, and they didn't really listen to players. They just said they did. You know, that could be a thing, right? But what the hell is this? What is this? What's going on here? All right, fixed. Let me see. Oh, there was another thing that they talked about too, the cosmetics things. People were asking, why didn't you make the microtransactions cosmetics? And I actually found this answer to make sense. I was like, oh, I didn't even think of that. Apparently, some other people already did see that as a thing. But I didn't think of it just because I just didn't think of it. But apparently, they didn't do cosmetics because it's a Star Wars game. So the outfits, the costume design, all that stuff is specific to those characters and those, you know, things like that. So going cosmetic would be incredibly hard. Not just for that alone, but also what I thought was really funny was EA was like, well, if we did cosmetics, we'd have to get approval from Disney for everything. Why is that a problem? Get approval. That was their, like, I understand if, like, there's an issue and it would be hard to make a lot of different cosmetic items, but that's just telling me you're lazy. That tells me, personally, that's what I think when I hear that. Like, you are lazy. You can't take the time to make cosmetics work with your game. You know what I mean? Like, that is some lazy shit. So I don't know that. I mean, I understand the excuse. I understand that, hey, we can't just put in a bunch of random cosmetics. Like, I understand that. That makes sense to me. I'm sure. I got you. You know, but your excuse is that you basically, all I hear is like, you just don't want to take the time to make it work, right? So whatever. But it's a good reason behind it, you know. But it, like, the actual answer is it's really hard to make cosmetics for Star Wars. Okay, that I can understand that. I can't understand they're like, we would have to get approval from Disney and we'd have to actually, you know, like, do it then, you know, like, why don't but I mean, and I remember one of the, let me see, what are they called? I forget what they're called, damn it. Pretty Good Gaming on YouTube. I think it's called Pretty Good Gaming. I like that channel. It's pretty cool. And they were talking about, and they were saying, you know, even in the movies, when we differentiate between, like, these soldiers that look the same, stormtroopers or whatever, different things, a lot of the characters, they do look like, but then you tell the difference by a scar or, you know, whatever, something like that. So although I was thinking about that when they were giving that as a suggestion, I was like, who would want a scar as a cosmetic? Like, I can't, like, I would not want a scar to unlock a loot box to get a scar for my character. Like, no. But I get, there are options. There are other options to make it so that you could put cosmetics in the game. I don't know. I mean, I don't think it would have been so bad to have weapons and stuff as loot obtainable items if they weren't so overpowered and, you know, not balanced correctly and stuff. And instead of being like the most powerful gun, they would just be a bunch of just different guns that you could get, different things like that. And everybody has the same chance to get them, you know, and I don't know. But it's definitely, that's a tricky thing with any multiplayer shooter, though. There's always a gun that's OP. I mean, which game you play where a gun hasn't been OP, you know? And I guess there's probably a couple. Like, I could think of Doom as not having any OP weapons, but it's really situational more in that case, because a rocket launcher is super OP depending on the situation. But I mean, like, most of these games, like Call of Duties and you know, all that kind of stuff, they do have there's always at least one gun that it's really stupid powerful. I don't know. I went off track there. It's just, just thinking about these things. But yeah, so I don't know. I think the answer from DICE and EA makes sense. I'm not 100% happy with it, but I understand where they're coming from. I get it. So I'm not like. And the thing is, like I said, man, I'm not buying this game unless it's super cheap. And there's multiple reasons for that. One is I'm a cheap gamer, right? I buy most of my games when they're on sale. If it's not something I really want right away. And then another reason is just how they handled this game. With the deals, I mean, I already know EA. I already know these guys $50 season pass, and that's what I'm used to, right? So they didn't do a season pass here, but they man, did they really try to cover up missing that season pass, or make up for it with microtransactions? I don't know. This whole thing is ridiculous, man. It's just ridiculous. So I kept telling people Destiny 2 is another game that I really wanted. I liked Destiny 1. I really liked Destiny 1. I thought it was cool. But I got to the end of the main game, the base game, fairly quickly, and then I just felt like this is how I felt for a long time, especially in multiplayer games like that. And the Call of Duty, if you want to play multiplayer, Battlefield, if we want to play multiplayer, every time I play those games, every time, which is why I don't really play them anymore, but every time I play them, I feel like I need to spend so much more money just to be able to enjoy it all. Because you have to. You can't enjoy the entire game without spending way more money than the default price. Games drop in price after a while, not depending on the publisher and whatever. But even when you pay full game for a price and then they ask you for another full game price pretty much, and people can say, oh, like, you don't need these maps, you don't need this, whatever, but who doesn't want to play at a variety of maps in a multiplayer game? Like, who doesn't want to do that? Also, that's a whole nother subject, because you're splitting the community, and that's terrible. It's really bad. Anyways, I've rambled for too long, so I'm gonna end this now. I could go on forever about stuff like this. I really could, and I meant to just talk about EA and Battlefront, and I got into other stuff, but yeah, the one thing I just wanted to talk about it because I respected DICE's response, and I know you can I get the idea that they would have done better themselves without a publisher pushing and forcing like certain things. That's the idea I have, because I really feel like when I see the games that they design as developers and stuff, when I see the words that they have and when they respond to stuff like this, like, they care. That's what I see. I mean, it could be somebody just doing PR and handling it very well, but I can't help but give people the benefit of the doubt, but not just the benefit of the doubt. Like, these people are making video games. This is an art. This is an art form. This takes a lot of time, a lot of effort. It's beautiful stuff, and you can see that a lot of work went into this. You can see it. You can see how much work went into this. So because of that, I can't help but think that they're not just in it for the money. There are other people in it for the money, and of course they want their money. They need their money, right? Of course they need it and they want it and stuff. It is a job. But there are other people, such as, I don't remember the name, it was Digital Homicide, I think was the developer, who kept putting up, like, apparently hundreds of games on Steam early access or whatever, and it was just a reskin. It was like a rename of the game with all the same exact assets and stuff like that, and he kept doing that. There was a bunch of drama on it with Jim Sterling, I think, as well. And it was pretty entertaining, crazy stuff. But that is somebody who you can say, like, they're only in it for the money. Of course, not even getting that much money at that small indie part, but I mean, that's ridiculous. And there are the complaints, like when you think about Call of Duty, how there's a lot of reskins or stuff like that. I can't remember which games they were, but they compared like scenes where they actually were the same exact scene, except with from an older game compared to a newer Call of Duty, except the newer one just had more better graphics. It had a little more detail stuff, but it was the same scene, like the way the soldier was being pulled along the ground or whatever. It was all like the same stuff. It was the same exact scene. I was like, holy crap. And you know, that's another thing I could get into too. But yeah, so it just depends. It depends on different things. But when I see specifically this game, when I saw DICE's response, and I felt like it was, you know, wow, what the hell's the word? I felt like they meant it. I know there's a word for it, but I felt like they meant it, you know. So I don't know. Yeah, I think EA is the problem here, and that's what I've seen with most AAA games. It's the publisher. The publisher is the one that's ruining them. It's freaking nuts, and I cannot believe. I've been meaning. I'm gonna make another video. It might be a while, but come back and join me for another video that I'm planning to make about open world games, why I'm sick of them, and I'll also discuss the linear games and single player experiences that I can't imagine most people not enjoying those anymore. It just depends on the game. You need a good game, like Hellblade, for example. Hellblade was really good. Quantum Break, you know, these games are great. I could say more about that because Quantum Break was a huge disappointment to me, but it was a great game. Anyways, ramble. I don't know. I might not upload this, and I might upload this. I kind of want to shorten it and make it better and more to the point, but I might just upload this one, and maybe you'll enjoy it. I don't know. So anyways, thank you for watching. I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.